This is Brian Hildebrand for World Independent Media. We wish you a good evening. Tonight we're here with two men from very different sides of the political spectrum who we recently saw had a debate which escalated into an altercation. The two men who I have via Zoom are Tommy Robinson, the founder and leader of the English Defense League, and Mr. Derek Diablo of Antifa and other left-wing groups. I have both of you microphones at ready. You'll see when you're recording. The last debate you two did escalated and you were talking over each other, and we weren't able to ascertain whether it was a publicity stunt or an actual debate. So, in the interest of objective journalism and to give both people and both perspectives a fair opportunity to present their cases, I'll be controlling your mics, and there may be a brief delay before you have a chance to speak. So, without further ado, we'll begin with Mr. Robinson, who many are familiar with in the UK media, but in America, perhaps not so many of our listeners will be able to understand some of the material without getting a bit of perspective on you. So, firstly, Mr. Robinson, what point were you trying to convey in the previous debate, and what would you say about your own background for our listeners that don't know your background in the UK, United Kingdom?
All right, well, firstly, this Diablo, he's spouting out of nonsense. He hasn't got a clue what he's talking about. Anyway, we all saw it, yeah? And then you say he shot himself. I chinned him. You say he's got no place to talk about anything. He's completely clueless. He's a communist. He's an Antifa. His family was from Cuba. His grandfather was killed by them. He's a numpty. He's got no business talking on any platform. As far as what I do, I stand up for traditional values of working class people around England who are being downtrodden by the globalists and the George Soros-backed groups such as Antifa, which he is a part of, and the other communist groups, and we are fighting to defeat them and make sure that we preserve our traditional culture and our British way of life.
All right, well, Mr. Diablo, he had some strong things to say about you, and we all saw that you seemed to be playing some sort of character. He was questioning you about it. What do you say in response to not only what he just said, but again, what point were you trying to convey in this debate?
Brother, well, it's like this, you understand. And first of all, Mr. Hildebrand, I'm happy to be here with you. So I don't got this so-and-so interrupting me all the time, because it's quite simple. This fella, he doesn't know anything about political science. He don't know the basics. He's out there talking about left wing and right wing and this wing and that wing and communists and Antifa. The man don't know what he's talking about. He don't know the basics. As you saw in this alleged debate, which was obviously meant to be a boxing match, but he took off. There was a boxing ring there set up. And anyway, the thing about it is, left wing and right wing, I'll leave that for another question if you want. But as far as what point I was trying to convey, I was there trying to promote a boxing match because I was already in negotiation with the Zone Boxing and Lee Eaton, and they wanted me to fight a random YouTuber, and they were going to give me £16,000, and they told me to pick a random one out, and then I got the opportunity for this so-called debate, and then this Cullen Myers, who's the guy who set the whole thing up, you know, he took the idea from another guy who's called King Kesto, who already had a drag queen set up to fight this Tommy Robinson, which is the drag queen from Cardiff called Alex Reid, Cardiff, Wales, yeah. And that guy, Kesto, is friends with Alex. Alex had already challenged Tommy Robinson to this very thing, a debate and a boxing match. So this Colin Myers basically stole this idea from this Kesto, who's a mate of mine, a great dude, maximum respect to Kesto, yeah. And then, so, you know, the point I would be trying to convey, if I could boil it down, is that this guy is a cancer in English society. He's no sort of leader. He is connected directly to the British fascist movement. He was in the BNP, the British Nationalist Party. Now, then he starts the EDL, the English Defence League. So it's a splinter group, or it's an offshoot of the BNP, who's a fascist party, if you want to call it. Whatever, defining fascism, this is a massive conversation. That's why it's difficult for me to really go in depth, because then we'd have to have the argument of what fascism is, and you know, we'd have to have a lot more debates, because this is, and I don't think I have a time limit, as I can see, and I see you nodding. So I'm gonna, you know, I can't go into the in depth about this, but left and right now, and the fascism. What point was I trying to convey? Is that this dude is not a political leader. He's a jabroni. I'm not going to, they want to, both sides to see sides and stuff like that. I don't want to see sides with that clown. I'd sooner sit down with a National Socialist. At least, because at least they're going to know what they're talking about. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's saying a bunch of general stuff that anybody can look at Fox News. He's giving you like a digested version of what he sees on Fox News, because you guys don't have Fox News in the UK. And the thing is that he won't last 2 minutes, like on our TV. UK people don't follow politics. That's what I come to realize, and people told me as much. You guys don't follow politics. You think it's a dog and pony show like wrestling, and yeah, it is. But Americans are way deeper in politics, and I grew up around politics hardcore because my family was from Cuba, and obviously Fidel Castro. Oh, and that's another thing about this guy. Him and that Cullen guy are so stupid. They don't do any research. I know already that you researched and you did one on my channel, because in the messages you told me, you actually watched my debate, and we already did this before, where I debated a right-winger. It says Diablo debates a right-winger on my channel. And we covered so many, if anybody would do the basic research, I'm talking about this, and first of all, his name's not Tommy Robinson, it's Stephen Yaxley. He stole that name from the leader of the Luton Miggs hooligan firm, who I'm friends with. So that's not even his real name. But the point I'm trying to make, I was trying to discredit this dude. Straight up. And anybody can see now, you call that guy some kind of political leader? Nah, you see, no, he's just saying he's a hooligan, right? And he's out there bragging about attacking somebody who's another leader of another political movement, 3-on-1, and a guy who's non-white. And you're saying you're non-racist, and you're not anti-Semitic, but you attack a non-white Latino Jewish person who is a left-wing and an anti-racist activist. So if you're attacking an anti-racist activist, what side are you on? And so I see you over there, Yaxley boy, you sissy. Yeah, your face. Yeah, but your microphone was muted, champ. So what point was I trying to convey? That Stephen Yaxley is a fraud. He's not the real Tommy Robinson. That is the main point. To destroy his entire gimmick and kill his gimmick. Yaxley boy, sissy boy. You're not Tommy Robinson, matey. I'm Tommy Robinson. He sends his regards. Okay, you can go.
Well, that explains something, but let's just say, Diablo, you have a colorful way of explaining things, but it only opens up a bigger question, which becomes, what does right-wing and left-wing, and being right-wing, Mr. Robinson being left-wing, Diablo, mean to the two of you? Well, first of all, as you heard me say, I'm not right-wing. I'm centrist. All right? It's people like him. He is a fascist. He is a modern fascist. The Antifa are the modern black shirts, as I said, and the black shirts were the fascists. So him and the people like him, whether they're Nazis, because Nazism is left-wing. National Socialism. Hitler was left-wing. So it's people like this guy, communists and Nazis, that are the problem. And they are the extreme and far left and far right. And I am a centrist. I don't have a problem with anybody. We're not racist. We don't have any problem with immigrants so long as they come into our country the correct way and they
abide by our culture and our cultural norms, and they don't come thinking that they're going to take over our neighbourhoods and bring their culture in England. This is England, and I believe, and we believe in England for English. So right wing simply means that you are a bit further in respect to what we believe in English Defence League. We are not right wing. There are those who are right wing and there's some who are racist. We are not racist in the English Defence League. We have people of all different colours and nationalities and backgrounds. So to me, being right wing means standing up for traditional values and supporting your military and supporting the working class. But people like him have turned it into saying that everything that's right-wing is Nazi. So we've clarified our stance as the English Defence League, and we are centrist. All right, that's a fair presentation for Mr. Robinson. I think that that's one of the most lucid descriptions of some of your viewpoints that I was able to take from the debate. So, turning it over to Diablo, what does being right-wing and left-wing mean to you?
Brother, this man don't know the basics. I know you know it. Ooh, brother, first you gotta go to the meaning of the word, break it down, show and prove. Like the black brother, the black Muslims say, Nation of Islam, like what they say, show and prove. You understand? And that man can't show and prove. What he just told you is his modern interpretation of what it means. But you got to go back to the origin. He don't know this. I can guarantee you. He said, and shaking his head, yeah, shake your head all you want. I pull his dick out and shake it across your face, champ. Now then. So, left and right wing originated by the right wing of the auditorium in France, where the king and the aristocracy and the church sat. So the power, those in power, that was the right wing of the auditorium. And the left wing of the auditorium, because of the aggressive nature and the idea of the common people behaving differently than this aristocracy, alleged aristocracy, the power structure, the left wing was the people. So the working class people and everything, that's the left. And then as you go on further, when you discuss the evolution of the leftism, then obviously it has to do with the working class. Workers of the world unite. That's a communist slogan. But then communism and socialism is two overlapping theories, but it's one theory, but then there's different variations of it. So as you start going further, leftism is incredibly complex, and it can appear schizophrenic because there's so many different branches, because socialism and communism, but then it's one thing, but then there's people who think it's one thing, people who don't believe it's one thing, but then you got the Trotskyites, right? So most of the people that you consider a communist are Trotskyites. You know what I mean? They don't like Stalinists. I'm a Stalinist. But then that's still both on the same side. So left wing is the common people, and the right wing is the power structure. The monarchies, the aristocracies, the clergy, and so forth, yeah? So the left wing is about overthrowing that, let's say in its inception. But I can go further and further and further, but let's just say that the right wing is more simple. For this man to say he's a centrist, and what? So now the English Defence League is a centrist organization. Well, what about the big BNP? He was in that. It's an offshoot, same members, British Nationalist Party, British National Party, that's known as a fascist party, and then that's connected to Combat 18. He says he's not friends with, he disrespected Combat 18. Now they see clearly where he stands. I don't know why he would do that against people on his own side, but his own organization, Infidels, look up at that one. I see you nodding your head, Mr. Hildebrand, you know what it is. So he out there talking on TV about how he's against these infidels because they're racist. They're in an English Defence League chapter. They're just a bit more open and extreme with their views. They learned it from him. They're English Defence League members that made a chapter called the Infidels. Look at them. These guys are domestic terrorists. He's going out there talking about these not extremists. You guys saw. Now, to me, I was doing a boxing publicity stunt. But this guy, they legitimately attacked me in their mind, and that's what they tried to do. And he's out there bragging about it. 3 guys at a secret location with one guy who's non-white, Jewish, anti-racist activist from a different country, alone, unarmed. And they attack him with a bunch of dudes. That's domestic terrorism. That's a hate crime. So that thing is, I'm a gangster, so I don't want to be pressing charges. No, but I make jokes about it, and I wind these people up, wind them up. You might know what I mean. Americans don't know. Pulling their chain, cranking them up, punking them, pranking them. like all the stuff. This guy don't do no research. He's not smart enough to do research. I think somebody helps him. Probably his wife. And if she's with him, she can't be too smart herself. So the guy don't do no research. He's just taking everything I was saying at face value and going off on that. Guy's debating a wrestling character. You think that my grandfather died on the spot when Che Guevara came with machine guns and my grandfather died on the spot, and you turned that into his grandfather was killed by Come on, man. Yeah. You see, I can do your voice. I can imitate you, man, because you're easy to imitate. You're a simple-minded guy. Yeah, let me tell you the rest of that story. Yes, my grandfather, he died on the spot when Che Guevara came with guns. And then the heavens opened up, and upon a black cloud sat an emerald-colored pyramid. And from that emerald-colored pyramid, a golden light shone down, and it brought my grandfather up to Mount Olympus, where he now resides, and he has told me to send Che Guevara his regards. The end? Yeah, how do you react to that one there, Yaxley boy, you dumb twat? So, I could go much further into what right and left means, but I don't want to be teaching this guy the basics of political science. This guy don't know the difference of Marxism and Marxism-Leninism. He need to go to a high school political science class. That's all basic stuff. Anybody knows that. His followers don't know it because they're dumber than him. But a lot of them are good people. It's unfortunate. They just don't know anything about politics. They're dumb on politics. They're not dumb as human beings. He's winding up saying like he's standing up for white people and everything like that. And that's what they think that he's standing up for. And he's doing the opposite. He's ruining the reputation of white people and making every people hate you. And winding you guys up to tell you that these other immigrants and everything is all your problems in the world. No, there's problems in the world before the immigrants, champ. But I'm not saying that they're completely in the right. But you wind them up. Because how's it come? I'll say this. How's it come Cardiff, Wales, and this is my own observation. I'm going to make videos about it, but I discussed this thoroughly. This is my observation from being in both places. So look at this guy. You can roll all your eyes all you want, dude. Because here's what I'm saying to you and everybody in your organization and everybody associated with you and everybody that's following you. Cardiff, and you got those EDL supporters now in Cardiff and Wales. You got Cullen, he's EDL. His father's EDL. Obviously, you saw what Boneface said. He called you all EDL lads. So congratulations, you're moving into Wales. We'll see how that goes. But how's it come Cardiff and London is just as equally as multicultural? There's women walking around in Cardiff, hijab, niqab, burqa. There's loads of Pakistani, Muslim, black, African, Syrian. It looks the same, called multicultural, as far as if you walk around London and you walk around Cardiff, yeah? Difference is, London, there's a spirit of hatred everywhere and conflict, and these groups, you see a bunch of Pakistani lads or something. The way I dress too, I'm dressing like casual. I dress as an English, but I look a bit different, darker and stuff like that. And then and then I just use my American accent. And hey, brother, how are you doing? Can you tell me where to go here? But they're off put. There's tension. It's because directly the hostility. And look how he said he got slapped around in his own town, Luton, and he goes and talks to the police on camera. They attack him and his mate, but then the next thing he's telling the police what happened. All the Muslims there in his own city call him pussy and walk around, and then they attack him and everything like that. Yeah. But anyway, man, I ain't gonna say too much more about it because I could go much deeper in that one. But I see that like you pointing your hand, so I'm taking too much time. But the right versus left. I'll tell you that the right wing is clear to understand. He's obviously far right, and left wing is incredibly complex. As the term doesn't make sense, I regard myself as left wing third position now. So it's funny because he says he's centrist, but see this guy, this Cullen, and I know I'm sorry, I'm going to conclude, but this Cullen is talking about horseshoe theory. And I'm the one who taught him horseshoe theory, but I didn't teach it the whole thing. I didn't teach him the whole thing. Yeah, it's center, and then you got right and left, but that the far left and far right are closer to each other than they are to the center, to everybody else, and to the regular left and right. But so that's what he's mistaken, is it's not far left, it's extreme left. Because what he's calling Antifa, look at this guy, I'm sorry, I'm gonna end. Look what he's calling, he's telling everybody, his followers, everybody a schizophrenic message. Because on one hand, he's saying Antifa, as he calls it, I call it Antifa, but he says that we are the modern black shirts, so the modern, fascists. Mussolini had the black shirts. But then at the same time, he's saying Antifa, and when I'm telling you, you know the history of it. He says Antifa is a bunch of blue-haired, blue-haired non-binary people, right? Okay, well, which one is it? Is it the black shirts? So like the, fascists, Italian fascists, the same as Nazis, basically. Or how those people look? Bunch of dudes, white dudes, mean, strong, big. So that's the same. But they're also, the Antifa is also the blue-haired non-binary. Which one is it, dude? Which one are you saying it is? But I could go on and on, but I'll turn it over.
Oh, thank you, Diablo. Please keep your replies down to no more than 5 minutes. Please, I ask you both respectfully, because we're actually beginning to run out of time. We have 30 minutes total. So moving on. Do you think you've said everything you have to in this debate, or do you have more points regarding one another that you'd still like to convey?
Well, I don't think there's anything else to say. You see, he shot himself. You see, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He spouts out another. He's a man. He's a man. He's going to unite hooligans. Who's he? He never had a football fight. So I don't have nothing to say to him. I don't want nothing to do with him. He's beneath me. He shot himself when we were there together. He said he wanted to fight me. He didn't do anything. So I got nothing more to say. But with respect to you, Mr. Hildebrand, if you want to have me back on, I'll come on any time and keep going with this, because it just makes him look more like an idiot, to be honest with you. So if you want to continue, we could continue this, no problem. And good evening to all your listeners. Thank you.
Well, Diablo, we're going to be wrapping this up because we see that Mr. Robinson is willing to continue the debate. I know that we have to stop, or we know that your schedule doesn't permit you to keep going. So I'll give you the last word.
In an old time, in an ancient age, somewhere in a chasm deep in the bowels of the earth, Diablo was lying broken, battered. The Yaxley boy had lathered him and cooked him, and battered him and destroyed him. And Diablo's mind flashed back. The blows were coming from everywhere, and I became one with the earth. I was pulverized. I was bleeding everywhere. And I lied in that chasm for many centuries. But then my spirit began to come back. And as I came back, I began to reconstitute my flesh. Cell by cell, bit by bit. And that spirit rose up, and I was able to stand up again, and here I am now. And yet he destroyed me.
But guess what, brother? Karate Man bruised on the inside. That's why you wasn't able to see it. And you asked me what I intend to do, because this man won't box me. I'm going to keep asking to box you until you do it, because you're a sissy. We could be millionaires right now. And I know that this man specifically sent the messages. He don't want to be talking about boxing and all that, because that's the fear that this is all just a big publicity stunt to promote boxing. But clearly you ain't going to sign the contract, Jack. We already know that, so you're a sissy. I'm just going to keep dogging you out. But if we got to the press conference, I'll leave you with this. They say, they ask me what I intend to do. We're to see how you talk about me. We see how you behave. If you ask me, this is what the material I was working on. When they ask me what I'm going to do to you, you saw about the hooligan cooking. You're asking, what's the hooligan cooking? Hooligan cooking is what I did to you, dude. What they call people burning people up, winding people up. I'm a wind-up merchant. I wound you up every which way but loose. And the thing about the hooligan cooking, you heard what I said. I ain't gonna sugar them up. I'm gonna sugar them up and serve them on a silver plate for you, yeah? That's hooligan cooking. That is the esoteric side. The operative side is the cooking. But you wouldn't know nothing about that. That's about Freemasonry. You wouldn't know Masonic speak, you understand? But if they ask me what I'm going to do to you, the first time when I was with you, I said, I'm going to sugar them up. I'm going to sugar them up. And I'm going to serve them to you on a silver platter. This time, I'll tell you like this. I'm going to sugar them up. I'm going to sugar them up. I'm going to stuff them with cream cheese. I'm going to fry them. And then I'm going to sugar them again. Cheers. I'll see you in the next one, Dave.
Well, I think that we've opened up more questions than we've answered. But one thing we can say at World Independent Media, we want to give everybody there full access to free speech and public debate. So I feel we've accomplished a lot, and this format is successful for further debates between the two of you because you're coming from very different perspectives, but you seem to behave very much in the same way, and we don't want to cast any judgments. We allow our viewers to do the judgment for us. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.